Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Tiny-tastic Talks. Today I thought that we would talk about this idea that's been floating around for years actually, but I recently saw it in an article in Elle Magazine. The article is entitled "Can't Stop, Won't Stop," hashtag, right? Why hustle culture's glorification of the grind is a lie. I thought that we would be able to glean a lot from it. For those of us who have had health conditions happen to us, basically, either because of stress or overworking, I know for many of us as well, there's another camp that obviously work was not an issue, stress was not an issue. Things happen, unfortunately, in life, and so. But I think that for those of us that are even also attempting to go back to work and understand our limits, this is an important thing to talk about so that we don't just run ourselves into the ground thinking that we should be performing at a level that is totally unrealistic for us and that can actually cause us harm in the end, which is definitely what we don't want, what I don't want. I think being cautious without robbing yourself of opportunities is a good way of going about it. Some of the ideas around this article, this woman knew that something was wrong when no amount of sleep could take the edge off. Lack of sleep would be basically one of the reasons why you should slow down at work. This idea that it talks about later on in the article, some people felt like they had to be a martyr in order to do everything themselves. They could not delegate. They had to go. The idea that success in today's day and age, with millennials, etc., is this hashtag can't stop, won't stop idea is the only way to achieve success, which is not true. We often see things like posted on Instagram about you have as many hours in a day as Beyonce does, so what are you doing with your life, right? We all have 24 hours and so does Beyonce, and look what she gets done, kind of thing. And if you start to take stuff like that seriously, I think on the one hand, yes, it could be a motivator. On the other hand, it can make you really feel like you're not doing enough at all and that you need to always be putting in the maximum effort and sacrificing, unfortunately, other areas of your life in order to be successful and to rise to the grind and that whole idea. It goes on to say that this hustle culture that we live in, it's workaholism with a glow up, rebranded with a glossy aspirational sheen and enabled by our always on digital lives. Being passionate about your career is one thing, but buying into the idea that success is only possible if you're always striving and sweating and sacrificing other parts of your life is something else altogether. That mindset is a setup for not only burnout, but also feeling terrible about yourself. If you're not a success yet, hustle culture whispers in your ear, well, you're just not putting in enough effort. It's up to obviously everyone to define what work means for them and what is best for them. When there is a work-life imbalance, it does increase the risk of psychological and physical health problems, which I can relate to because, as many of you know by now, my story encompasses work-life imbalance and the fact that I was going. I did not have enough time to stop, smell the roses, calm down, have time for myself. I was just jam-packed with all sorts of things that I should have been able to take a step back from, but I didn't. And so that's on me, and I've learned from that, and I'm doing things different now in the way that I look at my work, the way that I respond to my work, the way that I also make sure that I take time for myself, that I incorporate aspects of self-care for myself and what works for me, because again, this is all tailored to you. So what works for me may not work for you, and that is totally okay, because we all need to find our center in terms of where we need to be, what our baseline is, what is too much for us. Different emotions that come up as we're working, I think we need to learn how to deal with them in a better and more constructive way than we have maybe in the past. Like feelings of inadequacy in work. We have to learn how to deal with that. Otherwise, it's not going to go away. And we are still going to feel like we have to always do everything ourselves, or like maybe our boss is going to be on our case if we're not doing enough, when in reality that may not be the case at all. It's just our own internal stuff that's getting in the way then of our own productivity at times, which happens. The Devil Wears Prada syndrome.
Get me that little table that I like at that store on Madison. Get us a reservation for dinner tonight at that place. Get me good reviews. My 90 notes delivered today. Where is everywhere? Why is
You're always stressing about your job, which can lead to clashing with coworkers, or your spouse, or your family, your friends, and the obvious red flag of just feeling unhappy. This doctor goes on to say that sometimes workaholism also becomes a way to mask inadequacy or feelings of failure. I think it goes without saying as well that if you're always working and you're never home, I think you need to address that. There may be other reasons other than feelings of inadequacy and this feeling of go, go, go all the time. Maybe there's things in your personal life, in your relationships, that you need to learn to deal with, because it's just normal that we have to learn to deal with things. And if we never do, then I think our personal lives will take a hit and suffer because we're not willing to deal with things at home or deal with things in our personal lives and our family lives that we have to deal with. If we don't, we're just going to be trapped in this never-ending cycle. If you need change, remember that the boss of your life is you. So if you're wanting to improve aspects of your life, improve self-care, improve the way you interact with your work and prioritize, improve the way that you handle pressure at work, improve the way that you speak with your boss about that pressure, etc. One of the cool ways that they talk about actually talking to your boss about things is, since I have a lot of important projects but only so much time, what would you like me to prioritize? I think that's very simple. That's very non-confrontational. It gets the ball rolling in a way that maybe we sometimes don't always know how to do. In terms of if you're struggling with self-care and what that looks like, how would you like to wake up in the morning? That's a good question to ask yourself. What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? It's actually something that the co-founder of Reddit spoke out about. This idea of hustle culture is harmful to our work and to our well-being, and he rejects that idea and wants to try to change this mainstream idea that's going around Instagram, that's going around Facebook, that's going around in our society, that many people are adopting, but in the end it can be to your detriment. So I think, again, like I talk about in a lot of videos, taking inventory of what's going on in your life, really sitting with yourself and acknowledging the emotions that are going on within you, acknowledging what it is that you need to change, and making a plan slowly to change that. I think protecting ourselves in today's day and age is something that we need to do more of, and so that it doesn't encroach on our family life, our personal life, and the relationships that we have. If we don't want to see our relationships suffer, and we do feel that work is not helping that, then we are the ones ultimately that can change that about our lives. And we ultimately do have that power. I would just encourage everyone that if you are struggling with this, then do some research for yourself in terms of how to set up better boundaries for yourself at work. If you feel like you're getting emails too late into the night, you can always respond by saying, I'm going to take a look at that straight in the morning, versus replying at 11 o'clock at night, feeling like your life is always run by your work, right? We don't want that. I don't want that. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. I think this is a way also that we can have a conversation. So what are some tips that you would have that would work for you? Leave them down in the comments below. If you like this video, then like this video below. If you would like to subscribe to me and my content, I come out with new videos every Saturday. So subscribe. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend and a fantastic start to your week with these types of questions in mind. What would you like your life to be about? What type of impact would you like to have in the world? Start your weekend off with these questions so that you can start your week off right. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye.